And welcome back to another episode of the Student Section, a podcast about college students talking sports. I'm your host, Gary Sussman, not a student. And today, what do we have for you? A full sports buffet for your consumption. What do we got? We'll dive into the Marist transfer portal. We'll take a look at the Red Fox baseball and softball teams. We'll look back at the WNBA draft and ahead to the NBA playoffs. And we'll welcome in our special guest, number 98 from the Marist football team, Miles Kauderer, who will talk about the new sheriff in town on the sidelines this coming fall at Tenney, as well as his decision to remain at Marist and much more. So let's now, at this point, welcome back the two bleacher creatures of the student section, Fire and Ice, Aidan Lavin and Will the Thrill Rosen. Men, good to see you. It seems like it's been a little while. How you been?
Good. Aaron Judge. Aaron
Judge.
Taping
batting 178, so we'll let him off. Will?
That's okay.
I'm doing well.
Will's salivating because we're going to talk NBA basketball a little later on. So let's get right into it. We have a lot to talk about. I was going to start with the WNBA draft, but I think the most poignant thing that happened in New York sports this past week and since we met was the sudden retirement of the voice of the Yankees, John Sterling.
Yes.
Your thoughts on it, guys?
Well, it's someone who I grew up listening to in the background, not necessarily listening to every WFAN broadcast, but that man's voice has resonated with me and almost every New Yorker who's a Yankees fan. It's an iconic voice. He's an iconic man. The way that it was announced, absolutely perfect. He didn't do a send-off, which I think is appropriate for him. He called his game next afternoon. Adios. Beautiful message from Susan. I don't know if you read it. It was an absolute beautiful message. Beautiful message from WFAN, a beautiful message from the Yankees. And the best message of them all came from Justin Shackle, who posted a touching message on Instagram, who he's going to be taking over for John Sterling for the most part. No, for the future.
Right, but he hasn't been hired as a full-time replacement.
But he will be doing, I believe, 75% of the games. Right. Emmanuel,
Barbary.
Yes, he will be doing the other half. But it was, I think, that message, and I am a big fan of Justin since he's been with the Yankees and doing the field kind of pregame. I think it's a perfect transition, but no one will ever beat John Sterling like John Andres. It was just the perfect person for the perfect role.
It's going to be a very tough spot to fill. I'll give my thoughts in a second. Aidan?
I think Will summed it up perfectly. He's grew up with him, and anytime someone like Vince Scully did recently, and now it's John Sterling, it just happens eventually, but when it does happen, it's sad to see.
Yeah, Marv Albert, too. Whatever happened with him in the past, they kind of, whatever. But the way that he went out, it was unfortunate that it didn't sound the best during COVID on TNT. But that man's voice, also iconic, an iconic individual in New York, and at the end of his career, more national. I think these voices that we're losing, it's upsetting, but we have a nice new ground of different sports media personnel that can, unlike Sterling and Albert and Breen and other Albert, kind of have more of a modern take on it. Sometimes I'm not a huge fan of it. I like, the older school version, but I think Kenny Albert is a perfect example of doing a hybrid, and he has the biggest job in sports, in my opinion. I think he will become the 1A guy, if not already. Him, Ryan Aruco, other people in the industry. So what are your thoughts on the John Sterling?
So I think, first of all, just from a job standpoint, I think it's going to be a job that just because the guys are doing it now, John Sterling is such a unique individual and brought such a unique brand to what he did. I think the powers that be are going to take their time to name someone as the permanent replacement. That's like being shortstop for the Yankees. That's like a huge, huge job. And on a personal level, I got the chance to work with John several times because when certain times during the season, when our main announcers at the Nets were off doing the NCAA playoffs, we needed another announcer, and John did a couple of games over I was there for a long time, but he did a couple of games. Always the nicest guy, very flamboyant guy. When he would talk to you, I remember meeting him outside a hotel with another member of the PR team, and he talked to us as if he was broadcasting. Oh, Gary, how you doing? And, in that voice. And so it was very, very funny. And the thing that I will always take away is that when he did the game, like play-by-play guys have notes and charts, nothing. He did not have anything and just went and did the game. Now, you have to remember, or maybe you do or you don't know, John was an accomplished broadcaster before he got to the Yankees. He did the Nets when they were in Long Island. He did the Islanders. He did the Braves. Very accomplished announcer. The Yankee job was the primo job, and he took it to another level with his branding and his style. And it's a tough spot for whoever is the permanent replacement, because right now, Justin Shackle and Barbary, they are, in fact, when I heard Justin last night, he says, in for John Sterling. He said that at the beginning of the broadcast. And so they're not going to make any commitment because it's not only FAN, but the Yankees have a big say in this as well.
Originally, I thought, depending on where Michael Kay goes, I love, I'm a big homer of Michael. What I originally thought was whoever, either Michael or John, now being John, leaves, it was going to be offered at least to Ryan Ruocco. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Ryan, A, probably would not want that. And B, I think
he's got too much going on.
Too much going on.
He's got too much going on.
At a point, that was probably the plan, but I think that has shifted over the last 3 years. And you
talk about the Justin Shackle being the on-field guy. For people who may not know what we're talking about, pregame for the Yankees, they have interviews on the field that they broadcast on the big screen.
Yes.
Ryan Ruocco was that guy.
Yes, back in the day.
Ryan Ruocco was that guy because I remember one time I brought Avery Johnson to the stadium and Ryan did the interview and so on and so forth. And then he became the Nets' backup announcer, which was a John Filippelli move from the Yes Network because Ryan was not really that well-known, came from Fordham, as did Shackle and Barbary. So he would have been right up there, but he's the number
one
2 guy at the Nets. He's the number 1 WNBA guy, and he also does ESPN NBA.
Yeah.
So he'd be crazy to give that up.
Yeah.
He'd be crazy to give that up.
Some of the best people in sports media, in my opinion, come out of the New York area, but there's a lot of room for, I don't want to say growth, because we are losing a lot of these legends. On the Boston side, they're now transitioning.
Mike Gorman
retiring.
Also a very, very nice
Absolutely
guy.
Fantastic. He's getting replaced by Syracuse. Oh, boy. I forget. Oh, my goodness.
I didn't see that.
Yes, he does all the visiting games now. Once I get it in my head, I will pop it by. But there's a big transition of people that are kind of well-known, but taking these massive roles rather than, the standard entry waves. They're just kind of being put into those roles. And on the case of Ryan, I think Ryan is possibly one of the best out there. I don't know.
He's very good.
I think he was expecting, the Yankees or Nets, number 1, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore. I think he's going to go national.
No, he's established a good spot. But look, the classic case, and I had this firsthand, is Ian Eagle was doing the Nets games on TV, number 1 guy. Marv came into the picture. Ian had to become the number 2 guy, took it gracefully, figured that he would just keep working, and whatever happens, happens. And then after a couple of years, Marv decided that he didn't want to do it anymore. And so Ian assumed the number 1 spot again. And the same thing you see in college basketball is Ian bided his time. Jim Nance decided to step away. Ian becomes the main guy for the Final Four. And sometimes you just have to be that guy that knows how to bide your time.
Drew Carter from Syracuse, taking over Gorman's spot.
Okay. Well,
on NBC.
congratulations to Drew.
Number ones, number twos, Final Four, college basketball. It smells like you're hinting at something else.
WNBA draft.
Oh, there it is.
Caitlin Clark. A lot of stuff being made about her contract. We'll talk about that in just a second. Brooklyn Academy of Music, 1,000 people. Caitlin goes number 1. Angel Reese falls to 7, Chicago Sky. Camila Cardoza from South Carolina goes number 3 to the Sky. Contract for Caitlin Clark, $338,000 over 4 years. People bemoaning that. There's a lot of moving parts with the WNBA now. You have to remember it's a 40-game season. It's not an NBA season. And so she's going to keep her endorsements, make more endorsements. And I find it very interesting that her boyfriend works for the Indiana Pacers. So she goes to the Indiana Fever. Her boyfriend works for the Pacers. All's happy in the Clark household.
Yeah, and Cameron Brink, number 2 to L.A., obviously a very good player. I've seen a lot of discourse about it, and I think it's important to realize, like, this is kind of – they're still very, very young, and the NBA at one point was very young as well. It takes time for the salaries to get to where they're supposed to be, and obviously the gap is huge between the NBA and the WNBA, but the NBA has been around for 75 years, and the WNBA is just really getting started. So I think at some point they will get there, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of the WNBA players, although they want higher pay, they also understand that they're the ground level, and things will only continue to get better and better as the years go by.
There's only one sport, unless I'm wrong, where the men and the women get equal pay, and that is tennis. U.S. Open, Wimbledon, French Open, Australian Open, the men and the women, prize money.
Same purse.
Same purse.
Have those...
Does not happen in any other sport. Golf is 2 totally different tours. Football, obviously, is not comparable. Basketball, as you see, is apples and oranges. Hockey, the Professional Women's Hockey League just started. That would take a long way to get to where the NHL is, which is the 4th major league. So I think that the thing at this point is you want to bring more eyeballs to the WNBA, and she will certainly do that, I think, 100%.
It's gonna absolutely skyrocket the viewership.
100%.
Every Fever game that's must-watch TV. I don't think that league has seen anything since. It's the kind of the Wemby or the Zion effect, but for the entire league.
They've got good talent. Like, even just that entire draft, there's a lot of good players within it. You said Angel Reese was at 7. She was arguably the second biggest player in college basketball, and she went 7th. So that shows that there was a lot of talent, a lot of names, which I think bodes well for the WNBA, obviously. And Cardoso and Reese being on the same team is interesting because they battled against each other this year in the what round was that? I think semis. Yeah. And now they're on the same
and the
team.
Year before, too.
Yeah. So
year before, too.
that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, Aaliyah Edwards is paired up with Caitlin Clark, so that'll be cool. The former number 1 pick last year, or no, Aaliyah Boston. I'm sorry, Aaliyah Edwards was the UConn player that was picked this year.
But she's the it factor. She transcends. She's Bird, Magic, Pistol Pete when he went into the league. People who are not necessarily basketball fans or not necessarily women's basketball fans, they all know her name. She did a bit on Saturday Night Live. It's a whole different, to be cliche, ballgame.
You know what I think is something that basketball offers that baseball and football and hockey doesn't? Somehow, some way, you have these unbelievable players that come into the NFL. They win the Heisman 1 year, they're a 2-year player. But realistically, a casual fan or a non-basketball fan has no idea who a Bryce Young is, right? Bryce Young, who is that? Angel Reese, non-basketball fans, they know that name already. Caitlin Clark, Wembanyama, not so much, but Zion, when he was coming, these names I feel like are boosted by the basketball sport because more people. I don't want to say more people watch basketball because that's not true, but something happens where basketball stars are amplified more.
When you are a special guest on Saturday Night Live, that's a different level. And with that, we're going to switch from the hardwood to the turf, Tenney Stadium, as we welcome our next guest, Miles Kauderer, number 98, defensive line. He will join us on the student section right after these messages.
The Student Section podcast is brought to you in part by the Marist Center for Sports Communication.
For Marist Athletics news, go to www.centerfieldmarist.com or follow CF Marist on all socials.
One of the big sports storylines on campus this coming fall is on the gridiron, where for the first time in more than 3 decades, there will be a new head man patrolling the sidelines. The Silver Fox, Jim Parody, called an end to his illustrious career last fall, and he has been replaced and succeeded by Mike Willis, who brings with him Ivy League pedigree and a revamped coaching staff. So joining us now on the podcast, number 98, the pride of Demarest, New Jersey, defensive end Miles Kauderer, a redshirt junior who will be returning to Tenney next fall. Miles, welcome to the student section. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Let's give a round of applause.
Thank you.
Miles.
Thank you for having me. Should be a fun show.
Yeah.
You know.
Pleasure to have you. Say hello to Stefan, don't call me Tim Duncan, Aidan, Lavin, and they are the student section. So before we get into all the football minutia and your playing career and whatever, you're from northern New Jersey. Jersey Shore guy or not Jersey Shore guy?
Actually, not a Jersey Shore guy. I've only been to Jersey Shore probably a handful of times. Only been to the shore like kind of on my own once, which was for after prom, my senior year. The other times was kind of like my mom would drag us down there. And it was probably like maybe twice. So yeah, I'm not a Jersey Shore guy. Surprised. That's like a surprise when people like ask me that. They're like, oh, like you going to the shore this summer? I'm like, nah, not really. Like, I don't really like going down to the Jersey Shore.
And I was just curious about that. So where do your friends, like where would everybody hang out? Where would you, where would you go?
So we kind of just hang around the area, just like kind of hang around.
Go to the mall? I mean,
yeah, like Garden State Mall, the new mall in East Rutherford.
Yep.
American Dream?
Yeah, American Dream Mall. Kind of just anything in that area, get food. A lot of us are into golf now, so like especially over the summertime, gotta golf.
Where are the golf courses that you're going in Jersey?
We got Rockley Golf Course. That's like 5 minutes away from my house.
Convenient.
Yeah, there's a lot of them is country clubs, so that is inconvenient because, you gotta be a member of the country clubs.
Yeah.
But there's definitely there's like 5 kind of in Bergen County that they're not that far that we can just go to all the time, and there's a couple like ranges too, so that's always fun to do.
Yeah.
So give us an idea about your game, though. I mean, give us an idea, rate your game.
My golf game?
Yeah, your golf game.
Oh, I'm horrible. No, I'm horrible. I just started last summer, and I'm horrible.
Everything's slicing.
Yeah, but I'm working on it. It's mixing mixing football and golf. I don't have as much time to work on my golf game, but we're gonna work on it eventually.
Are you better off the tee? Is your short game okay? Your putting? I mean, you gotta break it down for us a little.
Yeah, definitely better at the approach shots and the putting.
Okay.
But anything outside of that, it's kind of messy. So
Lessons possibly in the future, or
my boys are taking lessons from home, and they've been begging me. They're like, "Yo, like come split a lesson with us." Focusing on football right now. Yeah. Maybe down the road. So we'll see.
Right.
We'll see.
Very interesting. Going into miniature golf. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about before. Like, what do we do for fun? Me and my friends, we have a thing where it's we literally found like every mini golf place and have gone to every mini golf place in Bergen County, and like we have like a list of like wins at each place, and we like track like who's winning. Like we have a whole leaderboard and everything.
Who's the top scorer?
Right now, I think it's my boy John, who he's a mini golf. He's good at that. He's good at mini golf.
That's funny.
So that's kind of like mini golf it's fun.
So if anyone has any questions about mini golf, it sounds like Miles is the guy to go
It's
to.
crazy. That wasn't in, we have a crack research staff here.
Yeah.
And I did not see miniature golf on the notes. So so getting into the clown's mouth is something that your friends do very well.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So before the student section gets all involved and excited, you were recruited by Coach Parody. Did you guys have any idea that this was coming? Give us a little insight from the player's standpoint of that transition of how you found out about it. Did you have any inkling? And, what was your thought process after that took place?
Yeah, so I was recruited by Coach Gross, Coach Parody back in 2020, 2019 to come here. And, it was a weird time coming in, COVID, all that. And it was kind of, we always, like, as a team, like, we'd always talk about it, like, this might be Coach Parody's last year. Like, my sophomore year, we talk about it. My junior year, like, we talk about it. We're like, it could be his last year. Like, we're not sure. And then it was kind of weird. Like, my senior year, like, all that talk about it kind of, like, went away. And, like, it wasn't something anyone ever talked about that was, like, oh, like, Coach P might be gone after this year. Like, he's going to be retiring or anything. And, we went through the whole season, and it was kind of like nothing changed. It was just like, just football is normal. Just Coach P's here. He's going to be here next season. I went through the process as soon as the season ended of entering the portal. So I kind of stepped away from the team. And then I saw in the group chat, like probably a week or two after the season ended, the group chat started blowing up that everyone's like, oh, like Coach P just called an emergency meeting. And it was like a Wednesday, like midday. And everyone was like debating, like everyone was thinking about like, oh, what could it be like? And kind of the most popular thing was like, oh, we're changing conferences. Like even then, like no one was like, oh, Coach P's announcing his retirement. And then I wasn't in that meeting, but yeah, everyone was just like, Coach P kind of came in, said he was retiring, and then that was kind of just the meeting. And it was kind of just a shock to everyone at the time. And it was kind of weird because, like when I first came in, it was kind of, this might be Coach P's last season. And then it's like, when it actually was his last season, no one was really expecting it. So it's a weird time.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. I also realized that we don't have Iceman here to give Miles his proper call. But moving on from that.
I am the football PA.
So if you want to do it, you can do it.
It's
but
fully
they don't
welcome.
Introduce the defense or the offense.
That's
so
true.
That's, okay.
That's fair.
We gotta get that going, like the NFL.
I know. Well,
That'd be cool.
Yeah, everyone walks out of the tunnel. Does anyone have the greatest, like obviously TJ Watt and Ray Lewis? Are there any other good tunnel walkouts that maybe you'd implement if Marist were to have that?
I've never thought about that, honestly. I don't know. That's kind of pregame. Pregame, it's kind of, I don't think about doing like any of that, like like the tunnel walkout or any of that stuff. It's kind of just once we kind of go out to the field before the game, and then we go through the whole pregame stuff. I'm just kind of in another world.
Right.
Kind of. It's weird to explain, but I'm just not.
What does it look like to you?
Well, it's like I go out there before I do my whole warm up. Get my legs going, get my upper body firing, make sure everything I've wrote down in my scouting report for the week, like I have locked in. And I walked through it a couple of times on the field with a couple other D linemen that are there. And now I kind of just, like kind of what you see with J.J. McCarthy, I kind of stole it from him. I kind of sit under the goalpost for a couple minutes, just collect my thoughts and kind of like clear my head, which I found really helped me during the season because, during the game, sometimes things aren't going your way and it's like you don't want to kind of get frustrated and lose your cool and kind of forget everything that you learned and everything you prepared for. So it's like kind of trying to keep like a level head during that time and just not really thinking about anything other than like just what is in front of you at that moment.
Yeah.
So you find out that you're going to have a new coach. Has to be unsettling. New line, whole coaching staff, all the people that you've been with for the last 3 or 4 years are now going to be replaced. So did that have, well, you said you had already entered the transfer portal.
Yeah, I was already in the transfer portal I was in the portal before Coach P announced his retirement.
So what made you jump out of the transfer portal?
So I talked to a bunch of schools while I was in the portal, and once Coach Willis got hired, he immediately reached out to me as well, and he was talking, wanted to have me come back here, and we kind of kept a steady conversation as he built his staff, and as we were talking, he had the whole staff built. He kind of had a deadline of, when school starts back up the semester, we got to know what your decision is.
This semester?
This semester. And I was down in Texas, the week before the semester started. And when I was down there, I talked to Coach Willis probably the week before that, and he let me know about the deadline and everything. And we had a conversation about coming back and all of that. And then when I was down in Texas, I was just really thinking about it, and I was just I think my best opportunity right now would be to come back to Marist, play for Coach Willis, play for Coach Horn, who's the D-line coach and the defensive coordinator, because I think that these coaches can not only help myself as a player, but they could help this team reach the potential that we have. Coach Willis is referred to Marist kind of as a sleeping giant. And when I talked to them, Coach Horn and Coach Willis, I kind of could sense that they really cared not only about the program but about their players, and that's something that really mattered to me because I was thinking I don't want to go to a place that they only care about the results. They're not going to actually get to know me as a player. They're not going to really put emphasis on making myself and my teammates better. And when I talked to the new coaches here, it seemed they really that's kind of what they were about, and it just made perfect sense. I know everyone here. I've called Poughkeepsie home for the past 4 years. It was just why not come back and compete for a PFL title this year?
You have 1 year of eligibility left.
Yeah.
Did you think of not playing football?
No, that never crossed my mind. I knew from the start that I was going to play football through all the years of eligibility I have left, and hopefully if I get a chance after as well.
You mentioned being down in Texas.
Yeah.
Was there a certain reason why you were down there, or was it just?
Yeah, so I was training down in Texas with a couple people. My boy Craig, 2 Live Craig. I was down there with him, meeting a bunch of people. I was training with 300 Guru, on footwork kind of stuff, because I was also transitioning to linebacker at the time, which is kind of, in this new defense, it's kind of I'm kind of playing everywhere right now, so I wanted to be more versatile and work on that since I played linebacker in high school, and then I came up here and I've only been a D lineman, so it's I want to be more versatile, especially to keep playing after college. And I kind of just went down there and I was just training with Craig, with 300, and I was meeting a bunch of people that could kind of help me go to the next level and really elevate my game.
Are you trying to stay on the defensive line, but instead as a stand-up position and more of an outside linebacker, or are you trying to get into the interior and play more of that position?
Honestly, I'm just trying to play wherever helps us win the most, and whether that means I'm playing back inside linebacker, or I'm playing a stand-up or outside linebacker.
You feel capable that you can do any of
Yeah,
that?
I feel capable
Impressive.
that I know I'll put the work in and I'll learn it well enough to be able to play wherever it helps the team the most.
Yeah. I mean, he had a great season as a defensive lineman, but being able to sacrifice and maybe go wherever is needed for the scheme and the team, it says a lot about, I think, him as a person.
And in high school, you, as Aidan referred to, you played both defensive end and linebacker. Where do you feel in your heart of hearts that your potential is most available for you to achieve? Which position would you say?
I would say, I want to say both, but like kind of like an edge player, you know. So like being able to play outside linebacker, D end, and kind of some best of both worlds, because you know in high school I played inside linebacker for the past 3 seasons here. I played like hand in the dirt D lineman, but I feel like I could play like the best of both worlds is playing like outside linebacker, edge type player, and kind of just be able to do whatever is needed out of me within the scheme there.
How did you originally get into football? We talked about the high school career. Mm-hmm. You started earlier, obviously. Who were the people that brought you into the game?
My father, for sure. He played football in college, and his career was cut short due to a broken collarbone. Mm-hmm. And he kind of always was pushing for me to play football. I want to say back when I was maybe like 10, he made me play football down in South Jersey, and I think I lasted like a week before I was like, I can't do this. Like I hate football. I'm not playing this sport ever. And then like fast forward a couple years, and I was in like 5th grade, and he made me play football again, like try it again. You know, we're in a new area in Englewood, New Jersey, North Jersey, and we're like, try football again. And at first, I didn't really like it, but it felt different this time, and I stuck it through. You know, I didn't really like it the first season, stuck it through obviously, and then I started to develop a love for the game over time. Like once I started to really understand what football was, rather than just we have to go over the summer and just run the snake runs,
right.
You know. And I was just once I really understood what was happening, I was football is actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Outside of the field, what are the things that I'm sure camaraderie with the team and all things of that nature are the things that you enjoy the most? Yeah. What do you think about just what football gives to you as a person?
I think football has given me a lot throughout my life so far. Definitely, it's taught me discipline. It's brought me some of my closest friends. And like you said, it gives you a real brotherhood bond that I feel like you can't get with a lot of other sports, because you're with your teammates constantly. You guys are fighting through everything. You're constantly hurt, fighting through injuries, fighting through the cold, fighting through the hot. It's just you guys are kind of together, and you need every single person on that team to give their all to succeed. And it's not like you can have just one person that just carry everyone and everyone else can slack off. It's
right.
the ultimate team game that you need to trust the brother next to you, and they need to trust you back to make sure that everyone's doing their job to get the job done.
Yeah.
Now, you originally went to Bergen Catholic.
Yeah.
Powerhouse. Don Bosco, Bergen Catholic, and then you transferred to North Demarest after that. What was the impetus to go to Bergen Catholic initially, and then what? You were already in the transfer portal. You transferred from one high school to the next. You know, what was the decision behind that?
Yeah, so to go to before high school, I was, like I said, I started to love football, and I knew I wanted to play football in college at that point. So I was I had to go to one of the big schools in New Jersey to keep playing football seriously. So at the time I was talking to Marist Catholic, Don Bosco, and Bergen.
Big time schools.
Yeah, the 3 powerhouse schools of North Jersey to go play football there. Yep. I ended up choosing Bergen Catholic.
Did you choose them or they chose you? How does that work
both. It's both. Situation? You know, all 3 of the schools, they wanted me to go there. to play football and, be a student there. But at the end of the day, it was my decision of which school I wanted to go to. They all like chose me also, and I ended up choosing Bergen Catholic, and I went there my freshman year. I thought I had pretty good football time there. I was playing. I was starting on JV as a freshman. I got called up for the playoffs, the varsity. I didn't play, but I was on the sideline, so
that's a big honor.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yep.
But there was just something about like the school itself that I didn't really like, and I didn't really feel at home there. And like when I really thought about it, I was like, yes, this could be the best for my football career, but if I'm really if I'm really a good football player, like it's like they say, like the coaches, they will find you. And I was like, why am I going to be miserable for the next 4 years just to like have a chance to play football when I can go somewhere else, be happier at school, like on a day-to-day basis, and still end up playing college football if I'm really good enough to.
That's a pretty mature outlook for a freshman.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
How did you realize that you could be happier in another spot? Were there friends at the other school that you already knew? What came into that decision?
Yeah, so I had
take us when you went home and said, "This isn't for me."
It wasn't kind of a snap decision. It was kind of like a drawn out process of like after this, like during the season, it never felt like, oh, like I want to stay here. Like I love this place. But it's like, especially after football ended, I was more of like, yeah, like
I didn't like school.
I didn't like, it's not that I don't like schools. I didn't like that
school. That's what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, you still have to go to school there.
Yeah. And it was kind of just a long conversation with my mom and my dad. And I was like, I don't want to stay here. And they were both completely supportive of me in my decision, obviously, because they wanted me to be happy at the end of the day. And where I lived at the time, Englewood Cliffs, they don't have a local high school. So we had to go to another high school in the area, whether that's Englewood High School, like Bergen Catholic, like any of the private schools around there, Cresskill, or Demarest, which I ended up going to. So I had a couple friends from Englewood Cliffs that I went to middle school and elementary school with already that were at Demarest. So that made the decision easier because I knew them. They were close friends of mine already. And they introduced me to like their friends that they made over freshman year at Demarest. So it kind of, I knew I had people there that I was close with already, and I would enjoy my day-to-day like through school.
So like at what point in the sophomore year did you say to yourself, or was it right away that you felt just better about yourself and that you knew then you could succeed both on and off the field because you were comfortable? I mean, that's what it comes down to. You just felt at home.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't my sophomore year that I even felt comfortable. It wasn't until my junior year that I really felt comfortable at Demarest because, I was transferring in as a sophomore.
It's almost like being a freshman again.
Yeah. To an area where everyone, like, because it was a regional school, so everyone kind of knew each other since elementary school already there. Yeah. So it was like I was just a new kid there with a bunch of kids that have known each other since elementary school. So it was hard to kind of crack into like a friend group, like find like my people that like I would be friends with all the time.
Your team was your friend. I mean, your team was your family.
Yeah, and that's who ended up like being like my friend group, like my teammates. But it took a while to really feel comfortable with myself and crack into like being like a group of people there that I could really be comfortable with myself and like kind of like feel free, because I was coming in to a school where kids were friends for over 10 years already.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A big accomplishment that you had that I found out was that you were on the U18 U.S. national team back in high school. What was that experience like?
That was a great experience. So I ended up going to the regional tryouts. I don't remember when it was, but I went to the regionals and I was the linebacker MVP there. And I ended up not being able to go to the next round, like, 'cause there's another round after that it's padded, like it's a padded camp. I couldn't go to that because that was the same week I had finals. So I was like,
Oops.
yeah, I was talking to the guys who run USA Football, and I was like, yeah, like I can't make it. Like I would love to like, keep like playing for you guys and like competing, but I was like, I have finals, like I can't skip that. Like I need to like get this done so I can like pass my classes. And they ended up being like, we saw enough out of you at the first camp that we like you enough to invite you to like play in the actual, like on the actual team.
So you skipped?
Yeah, I skipped that step basically.
It's like you skipped a grade.
Yeah. And we were down in Dallas, and that was a cool experience to kind of see a bunch of, it was right before COVID too, so that was cool. To see a bunch of players from across the country that were going off to play at Division I colleges, like great colleges, and like kind of learn from other players, learn from coaches from all over the country as well, different techniques. And it was also my first time being down in Texas. Yeah. So that was cool. Got to play at the Cowboys Stadium, which that experience really was eye-opening to be able to play there, and really after the like win there too, and then after the game just kind of stand on the field and just like take it all in.
That must have been like a soak it in moment.
Oh,
could you
100%.
Did you envision yourself after you played in the Cowboys Stadium saying like, oh, I want to continue to do this for as long as I can? Because you mentioned before how you just want to continue playing for as long as you can, even after college. So was that one of the moments where you're like in a professional NFL stadium and you were like, wow, I can be a defensive lineman at a professional level? Yeah,
I mean, I knew before then that, I have dreams still playing professionally, but actually being like at AT&T, playing a game there, and then just like being in that stadium really like pushed it further to be like, this is like it wasn't packed at all too. So I was like, this is what it feels like to play in this stadium like empty. Yeah. I was like, imagine like playing at this stadium when it's packed. Yeah. Like that must be insane.
On a Sunday.
I was like, that's a feeling that like kind of pushed it even further. Be like, this is like something I have to dedicate like the rest of my life to now.
Right.
Kind of backtracking to the whole transfer portal stuff in the season. What was your original reason on why you entered? Because I know we covered why you decided to come back, but we never really went through what was the decision for why you went out.
Yeah, I was just looking for the best opportunity for myself at the end of the day, and just a change of scenery. I gave
4 years was enough.
Yeah. It wasn't even 4 years because the COVID took away the first year. Yeah. So it was like 3.5, Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where we put COVID. I don't know if it's like dog years or if it's minus dog years.
We practiced, so I'll give it half a year.
All right.
We had 3.5 years. Yeah. And, I just wanted kind of change of scenery, look for the best opportunities for myself, and kind of go through the process of the transfer portal.
So did you think, not to cut you off, but did you think that if you went somewhere else that you could reach your full potential?
I thought depending on where I went. That's why I was very particular when I was in the portal that I didn't want to, just take the first offer that I got. Yeah. I wanted to sit in the portal for as long as I could until I got
very thorough.
Yeah, until I got an offer to play somewhere that I thought would be the best fit for myself.
Speaking on that, were there any schools that, if not Willis contacting you, you were close to wanting to transfer to?
I wouldn't say that I was like close to committing anywhere else at the time. There were schools that offered me spots. There were schools we were still working the money through at places, and there were schools that I was still like very much in contact with. And there were obviously a bunch of schools that said no to me. But I wasn't like close to anywhere at the time, but I was definitely talking to a bunch of schools. And then after talking to Coach Willis, I was like, this seems like the opportunity like that I entered the portal for. And it was like, it's a new staff. It feels like I'm transferring somewhere new,
Yeah. Very interesting outlook.
Yeah.
So as I said, we do have a very crack research staff. Aidan always laughs at that. And so This is a quote from your high school coach.
Okay.
Very good first step in lateral quickness. Based on film, football, IQ, and great work ethic, should be able to land a scholarship offer. And you went on unofficial, you're obviously a smart guy, went on unofficial visits to Dartmouth, Yale, and Princeton.
Yeah.
That's not Suffolk County Community College, Dutchess County Community College, or Hudson Valley Community College. So you're obviously looking for strong academics.
Yeah.
You wanted to play football. That was your mindset. And then you come to Marist. So take us back.
Yeah, so the whole recruiting process in high school.
Crack research staff. You like that, right? Crack research staff. Me and my dog sit there all day and go over this stuff.
That was good.
Yeah, it was I don't know, it was kind of like a mess, recruiting in high school. I talked to Dartmouth heavily from my sophomore year until my senior year. I went up for a bunch of visits there, met like the team, went to the camps up there. And, since they're Ivy League schools, you needed to have grades good enough, test scores good enough. For Dartmouth, I couldn't get an SAT score that could put me into a good enough ranking for them that they wanted me. So I was 10 points short too. So it was kind of just like a slap in the face. I was like, I talked to this school for so long, and it's like I took the SAT and I thought like I didn't get a bad score. Like I got a 1290, and they wanted like a 1300, and I was like,
so over 10 points?
yeah, I was like,
I can see it though. I mean, having had to recruit,
It's
I
like
can
a
see
first
where
and
that's
last name on the
sometimes a
paper.
problem.
yeah, I hope I put my first and last name.
Yeah.
Hope that's not what screwed me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was 10 points short. I was like, it's like you've met like my family's been up to Dartmouth. Like, we've talked for past 2 years. I was just like,
Sucked that they didn't make an exception.
yeah. And then it's kind of the same thing with Yale, except for I wasn't talking to them for as long as Dartmouth, but it was kind of the same thing with the grades. Same thing with Harvard too. It's kind of just like those three schools at the end of the day came down to just like I was 10 points short, which it sucked, but I am where I am now.
Yeah.
So I don't regret it. And then with Princeton, it was just the coach I was talking to there, he left to coach for the Lions, and I never got in contact with the new coaches there. So it was kind of just, I figured I got lost in the shuffle there. They got like thousands of kids that they were recruiting in high school. So, and I was a sophomore at the time, so it was like I wasn't anywhere near high on their board. So it was just like.
So Dartmouth was the school. I mean, Dartmouth was the school that you were pointing towards to go to. If all things being equal, that would have been the school that you would have chosen.
I don't know if that's where I would have ended up, but it was definitely the school I was
You wanted to have the option to go there, for sure.
Yeah, it was the school that I was in contact with the most. Like I would say throughout my whole process of like freshman through senior year.
Funny enough, he now has an Ivy League coach, so it's kind of a
Yeah,
full circle
Full
moment.
circle.
I got a
But
coach
it's very
from
interesting what you
Harvard
said.
and Princeton.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting, though, what Miles said about transfer portal, and then now Marist with a new coaching staff seems
Like a
like
different
it's
place.
a new school because it's totally different than when it was the past 4 years.
When you first landed here, you obviously are not going to be willing to sacrifice your happiness and your overall well-being, as you had mentioned. Did it feel like home, or did that take some time to feel comfortable?
When I came back here,
When you originally came as a freshman?
No, when I first came here as a freshman, like I said, it was a weird time. It was during COVID.
Yep.
So it definitely felt a little weird, but I felt at home. I took my visit up here. I met with the coaches up here, but I also came up here separately, like with nothing to do with football. Like didn't tell the coaches, with my dad just one day before I committed here, and we just walked around campus. And like that's kind of when I knew I was gonna come here. It was like didn't have anything to do with football, didn't talk to the coaches, just kind of walked around the campus, walked into the buildings and kind of just took it all in. And I was like, I could really see myself like coming here and like actually wanting to be at school here.
Make sure you fit in outside of football.
Yeah.
Like you said, very thorough.
Well, at the end of the day, and I used to tell this to students when I was recruiting, is that at the end of the day, you have to go to a school that you want to go to school at, because you never know where life takes you. You may lose interest. You may get hurt. You still have to go to school there, and you don't want to have to transfer again or leave again because you already just went through the process. So I think that is so, mature to not even worry about the football and just go to the school to visit. You went to the school to visit as if you were just any other student, because that's, at the end of the day, you're going to have to be assimilated into the student body.
Yeah, that was kind of just the biggest thing for me. Was I walked around and I was just like, I didn't talk to anyone. I was with my dad, kind of embarrassed, shy. I was like, I wasn't gonna stop anyone to talk to them.
Not unusual. That's not out of the norm.
Yeah, but I was just like, I would see people walking around. Campus was beautiful at the time, so that definitely helped. It
Chamber of Commerce Day.
it wasn't like all the trees were dead and it was freezing.
Oh, they keep the grounds like it's Wimbledon here.
Yeah. I work for grounds. We got to keep it going.
I know. We have
grounds.
that. We want to know about weeding, mowing, and foliage.
But yeah, it's like a perfect day, and I was just like, why not?
Yeah.
Excellent. Do you know the relationship that you have with Mike Ditka and Connor Bernard?
No.
Connor Bernard or Bedard?
Bedard.
Yeah,
Excuse
the hockey
me.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's you have a relationship with both those guys?
Do I?
Yeah.
It's the first I'm hearing of it.
All wear 98.
That's right.
There we go.
So now you wore 49 in high school.
Yeah.
So give us where 98 came from.
I wanted to wear 97 because I'm a Niners fan.
Let's
And,
go.
Oh, don't please. Do we have to start?
I saw it when I walked in. I had to
look
say
at
it.
this.
I was
This is
told- I was-
Christian McCaffrey over here. He's a triple option.
Close
He's our
to
triple
it.
option.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. You're from Jersey, and
Yeah,
you,
no, I hopped on the bandwagon.
How
back,
did you-
Not me.
I hopped on the bandwagon back in 2013
There you
with
go.
Kaepernick against the Ravens,
I have my
Interesting.
dad as an
and
excuse.
I stayed. So I was a bandwagon, but I feel like 10 plus years.
There were some rough years in
Yeah, I
between
feel
all
like the
that.
past 10 years puts me into more of a.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
When
you said
CJ
I earned
Beathard
it.
was the quarterback, that was
Yeah, Beathard,
bad.
yeah.
So who was not? So 97.
I wanted
Give
to
us-
wear 97 because Nick Bosa. Because I was
Okay.
like, played linebacker, I'm moving to DN now. I was like, let me rock 97.
Yeah.
Now,
Cri-
go ahead.
number was taken. Christian Pritzloff, one of my best friends now. He had it. He's had it. Last year was his last season, so it's like he's had the number. So it's like this is the first time it's actually open.
Are you taking it?
I've had 98 the whole time. I feel like I can't switch down and go down one number.
That's true.
Yeah.
So if I'm switching numbers, it can't be 97.
Now, Bergen County is big Yankee territory. I would think maybe 99 for Judge, but you
I'm
just
not a big baseball guy.
it's
Loves
okay.
Bosa. And I love it. That's fantastic. 49ers fan. Who would have thought?
But I saw that with 49. I just figured, you went to school. You figured I might as well double it. I'll go
Was the
98.
49 for
49?
49ers or no?
No,
Okay.
but it worked out
Yeah, that
perfectly.
ties in,
So
yeah.
it was because I transferred in, everyone kind of had their numbers already at the time. And it was, I don't remember what the numbers available were, but Coach Matola kind of gave me list of 3 numbers. He's like, this, or that. And he said 49, and I was like, I feel like that'd be funny.
Yeah.
And let's just rock 49.
So you watch a lot of football.
I would say so.
Do you at all take anything from the games and study them at all? Because you were talking about your scouting report earlier. It seems like you're a rather student of the game.
Yeah.
Do you look at anyone in the NFL and try to model your game after them?
Yeah, so I've during the off season, I kind of look at film breakdowns of certain players, especially players that are kind of play my position and are the same relative size
Right.
as me. So players like Hassan Reddick
Okay.
and the DN from Tampa. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name right now.
Tyron Troyega?
No.
no.
Shaq Barrett.
There you
Okay.
go. Yeah.
Yep.
Players like that because they're undersized players.
Yeah, outside linebackers.
Yeah, outside linebackers, DNs. So I kind of look at players like that, Dwight Freeney, that are
Old school.
Yeah, undersized players and know how to use their size to their advantage to be extremely successful NFL players.
Right.
So it's kind of breaking down players like that, and then even now watching football games, sometimes I just kind of lock in on certain parts of the game, just I would watch even during the Super Bowl, there'd be some plays I would just literally lock in on Bosa and just watch like a couple reps of like what he's doing.
So you could
and
tell
see-
everyone that he was held in the Super Bowl numerous times.
Oh, he's always held.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a talk for another time.
That's
There we
right.
go. Crazed 49er fan. So give me an idea of what you think you do better now than you did 3 or 4 years ago, and how are you feeling physically now compared to 3 or 4 years ago? Bigger, stronger, fat. Tom Brady, actually, I don't know if you saw this online, he ran his 40-yard dash. He ran it faster
ran it.
as a 45-year-old guy than he did coming out of college, which is
TB12.
crazy.
That was crazy.
Which is crazy to think of. But
Insane.
because now, I think March 30th, is that coming? I think that new football league is starting.
UFL, yeah.
The
that's
UFL.
this
I'm sure you
Sunday.
have your eyes on that a little bit.
Brahmas.
Of course.
You
Any league that I could play in after college, if I'm fortunate enough to, I'm not going to say no to. Any opportunity that I can get, obviously, accept it.
But how do you feel physically? What do what's improved in your game and what do you think you need to do to get to that next level?
I would say 100% mentally have improved since my freshman year. Definitely have learned the game of football 100 times better, could digest the game 100 times better, and really understand like the nuances of what's happening. I would say the game's kind of slowed down a bit too, that it's like, especially when I was first really playing D-line here, I would feel lost at times and just like not really know like what I'm doing or like why I'm doing certain things. But it's kind of easier to understand now, and like I could even understand it like myself. Like I would see, like in practice, like I could see like a type of formation the offense is in, like where the back is, kind of like how the O-line's set up, to kind of like give myself hints on what I think is gonna happen, to kind of like help myself the best I could. I definitely feel stronger, more explosive than I did my freshman year. Feel faster, but that's just with hard work and growth in the weight room with Coach Suma. So
Veteran players in all sports, the thing you hear the most is that the game slows down for them.
yeah,
And that comes from experience, that they're not so lit and ramped up that they are just running all
Loves
over the
using the
place.
word lit.
They can see what develops.
You love the word lit.
Today, I love the word lit. It's because I don't know, but I do love the word lit. It's
That's good.
springtime.
And
I'm
you're
lit in the
immersing
springtime.
yourself within the student section.
Well,
trying to use
I'm not a student. Though.
close.
I would even say like last year, like last season, like I feel like there'd be times like I'd be trying to move too fast, that I would just, kind of lose track of where I am. But definitely like so far this spring, like I've been more conscious of like every move I'm making, like while I'm moving the same speed still. So it's been very cool to like see mentally.
Something I've noticed just because I've been at the practices so far.
Insider Stefan.
Yeah,
For this-
insider.
for
Stefan,
this
don't call
spring.
me Tim Duncan.
I've noticed that you've kind of taken on somewhat of a leadership role. Just at the practices, I've noticed you and Nick Jackson
Yeah.
and Testa. I've noticed that you all kind of look at the team and not empower, but like give like words of advice or types of like if someone
Like
messes up during a
encouragement?
drill,
Yeah.
encouragement. I've noticed that you guys have been doing that. What's the type of mindset that you've been in?
Yeah, and that's a big thing that I talked to Coach Willis about too. Like he talked to me about actually. He said like I need to step up as a leader, especially being, I guess I'm an old guy now, here.
Veteran.
Yeah, veteran. Even though like people younger grades that are older than me, but that's a different conversation as well. That
Hey, there was a guy in the NCAA tournament, 26 years old.
That's
Oh
crazy.
my
schools.
God, that was crazy.
8 schools. At some point,
Tight end from Miami.
you do need to move on. At some point.
But it's just kind of stepping up as a leader, knowing that younger guys are looking at me as an example, and that kind of realizing that when I was in the same position as they were, like that they might feel the same way I felt at the time, like the same frustrations when they're not playing, when they're messing up, the same frustrations, and kind of trying to keep them level-headed, because I know that's what helped myself, and kind of just knowing that the only way to win is if we're together as a team in a cohesive unit. So, like, we need to make sure that we're one unit. not a bunch of individuals.
With it being your final season, at least with Marist, is there anything that you're looking forward to or thinking about leading into the season?
PFL championship, mentioned at the top.
Or anything that you're going to be doing in the summer to prepare for the season?
I'll be up here all summer training with coaches and hopefully a majority of the team that decides to stay up here.
Won't you be weeding, mowing, and doing foliage also?
Of course, but
You are
outside
Mr.
of that-
Grounds Crew.
outside of grounds crew, it's optional for the players to stay up here, but we've been trying to make sure everyone that could stay up here and has the facilities to stay up here, get better as a team, grow the brotherhood even more. And what I'm looking forward to the most, summer, great times over the summer. No one else is up here. It's kind of just us working grounds, and then doing football.
Yep.
And then camp's a fun time too. And then the away trips. All of it's
Yeah.
really fun at the end of the day.
San Diego.
What is the coaching staff, now that there's a new one obviously brought in, Willis and the coaching staff? You said you wanted to win the PFL championship, and I know this has been a great interview. You've told a lot of stories, and we have to wrap it up soon. But what do they bring that is going to allow Marist to compete for that championship that you had previously mentioned?
I think the coaches, they all bring in their own unique experiences, and a lot of them have been coaching for a long time and have impressive resumes at places they've been. I think collectively as a team, everyone's kind of bought in to what Coach Willis and what their own position coaches are telling them right now. And I think as long as everyone stays bought in and really embraces Red Fox mentality, that we have the opportunity to win this season.
All right, well, one last question before the control room comes out here and jumps
you
me
away.
and throws me away, because our crack research staff spends hours on this, and so they came up with a little nugget that I must ask you about.
Okay.
You speak Japanese.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
How did that happen?
I don't
Like when you
speak-
order sushi, do you order it off the Japanese menu in Japanese, or do you how does that work?
So I wouldn't say I speak Japanese yet. Yet I'm learning it right now. I have
This is an academic, everybody, student section. This is an academic
I
that
have
we brought in today.
I have 190-day streak on Duolingo right now.
Okay.
For
Love that little bird.
for Japanese, me and my teammate Luke Peck, we started that during camp last year. We both wanted to learn Japanese. We both want to go to Japan and be able to actually enjoy it, be able to speak it, and we both started that.
Otani's looking for another interpreter.
I got him. And I've always wanted to go to Japan. That's my number one destination. And yeah, I'm just why not learn Japanese?
Well, listen, if I'm ever in the Garden State Plaza and I'm at the Cheesecake Factory and I see you and your boys hanging around, I'll invite you to have something to eat. Thank you very much for coming in. Good luck over the summer. Good luck next season. And I hope you stay healthy. You seem to be on a great path. And how about a round of applause for the student section? Miles Kauderer.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very, very much. Good luck, and stay healthy, because that's with any athlete, that's the key. You've been great. We appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you very
Great
much.
time.
And we'll be back on the student section right after this message.
The Hudson Valley Renegades are a proud sponsor of the Student Section podcast. Rick Zolzer, Vice President of Entertainment. When can you watch the Renegades?
Starting April 16th all the way through to the first week of September, and hopefully we make playoffs after that.
You heard it here. A proud sponsor of the Student Section.
And welcome back. We go from the gridiron to the hardwood. NBA playoffs. Hockey's also got their playoffs going, NHL. But let's start with the NBA. Will's salivating. He has his Knicks shorts on underneath his attire today. He's all set. All right. I've not become a believer. I would never put myself in that category, but I think that they have a strong shot to possibly get to the Eastern Conference Finals if all things go right. But, playoffs are a little bit different. While we tape, we don't know if it's going to be the Sixers or the Heat. Give us the Cliff Notes version, if you would. Don't go into your Manhattan Knicks ramble for 20 minutes.
Okay. On the Knicks side, you mentioned they could either play the Heat or the Sixers. Personally, I'm rooting for the Heat to win that game because I think it's an easier route. They are the Heat. It's the Knicks and the Heat, whatever that means. But I think the matchup is a better matchup against the Heat. No backup center or no true backup center. And that really proves difference. So let's say the Sixers win, which is the most likely. They are favored in the game, which is going on tomorrow. The Heat, we're going to take the loss on that one. So it's Sixers and Knicks, and that's going to be an unbelievable series. Hopefully Joel can stay healthy. I'm not one of these fans that are like, if he gets, to get injured.
Yeah,
that's
don't
not
wanna
my
do
style. I want a good series. I think that is the toughest game that we will play if we continue to win these series. Of course, Boston, the goal is that they get knocked out. Not going to happen. And if it's either going to be, in my opinion, Knicks in Boston or Philadelphia in Boston.
Right. Aidan, what do you think?
Well, the Warriors, as of yesterday,
Knocked
were
out by the
eliminated.
Kings, so...
Yeah. And,
So do they blow it up, or do they bring everybody back?
think
That's
so.
a huge
it was
situation right now, Mr. West Coast.
it was weird because our three veterans didn't really play that well. And
They're getting a little older.
Yeah, I know. Charles made sure to mention that.
And you
on
can see that. The
post-game
Kings were
show.
running up and down the floor
Yeah.
as the 22 and 23-year-olds that they are.
They had more energy, and they beat Golden State to pretty much every rebound, every loose ball. Curry got picked twice by Keon Ellis. Great story, by the way. Undrafted, and now all of a sudden he's in the starting lineup of a playoff team. Anyway, do they blow it up? I'm not sure. But to the Knicks' point, Embiid, he's been great since he's came back. He'll cause problems for the Knicks. I think the Knicks still, their rotation's very short, as we've mentioned many times, but they have as good a shot as anyone. I don't really see anyone beating the Celtics. And in the West, it's, I don't know. It's
I
interesting.
think it has to be the Nuggets, right?
You would think, yeah. But
Experience would tell me that the Nuggets, in a Game 7 situation, they've been there, they've done it. None of the other teams, Minnesota, Clippers,
Clippers could be a wild card.
Clippers
could
could be a
depending
wild
on health.
card.
The
there's a
Clippers
lot of
can take
interesting
it.
teams.
Clippers could be a wild card, but
The Nuggets are a machine, though. Like that, they
They're a very
they
good
know
team.
what they're doing.
But Murray has to be healthy.
Yeah.
Jokic always seems to be healthy.
Yeah.
It's going to be great viewing, I think. I think the Knicks have a fighter's chance to get to that Eastern Conference Finals. You never know what's going to
I
happen.
do find it funny that everyone is disregarding the Pacers and the Bucks, which is fair. At
Well,
this
we don't
point.
know. Giannis may not even play the first
Right.
part of
Yeah.
the
He's not.
playoffs. So when you're coming off injury and then you're trying to come back from injury and coming into the high intensity
We saw
of
what
the
happened
playoffs,
with Julius Randle. That
yeah,
didn't-
you don't have that acclimation period to get yourself back. And I think one of the things about Embiid, I just want to get this in, is that yes, he's coming back from injury, but he also was off for
Fresh
5
legs,
weeks, and
yeah.
so that saves his legs a little bit. So that's also a plus for them, and they have a very good coach.
Unrelated to the Knicks, I think something that I was mentioning last night as I was watching the game, someone who does not get the notoriety that is needed, I would put him up there with some of the best players. The man does nothing wrong, ever.
And that
Domantas Sabonis. He is just unbelievably not mentioned in any of these true, not saying he's the best player in the league, but the man does everything right.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
I
a
think
good,
the
solid
problem,
player. He's a better pro than I thought he was going to be.
Oh,
the
yeah.
problem is that there's a player that plays exactly like him that's 2 times as good as him, which is Jokic. Sabonis is pretty much a lesser version of Jokic, and that's no knock to Sabonis.
Sabonis is a little more athletic, I'd say.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
yes.
also not as big. Jokic is a huge
Sabonis,
guy.
Sabonis, very physical.
Very physical, double machine.
The rip throughs.
And he's a good passer too.
I would give the Kings more chance to advance if Monk was healthy.
Yeah.
Losing him is a very, very big blow.
Another big point. Now the Kings will play the Lakers. My mistake. The 1 seed is Oklahoma in the West. That means they play the 8th seed, which is determined tomorrow.
Pelicans,
it's
and
Pelicans and the Kings.
Yep.
If I'm hoping if the Kings win that's a better matchup. Oklahoma, personally. I think Oklahoma is a good matchup for the Kings.
Well, we'll get to see all these guys that we don't see all the time play. And listen, the Western Conference is always like tremendous TV. Let's move to the ice for a second.
Okay.
We have to give props to the Rangers. President's Trophy, 114 points, 55 wins, most in franchise history. But you all started 0-0.
That's
and
right.
if there's anything more fickle than that puck on the ice, I'd like to know what it is. But you know, they have to do no worse than the Eastern Conference Finals and probably get to the Stanley Cup
Who
Finals.
won the President's Cup last year with like a record-setting wins? Was it Boston, I think? And what happened to them?
Crushed in the first round.
So
But that's,
anything can happen.
The Garden could be alive more than a Billy Joel concert.
The Knicks and the Rangers coming to the Garden. It's going to be one expensive, unbelievable packed house on 31st Street.
Jalen Brunson not on the Olympic team. Your thoughts?
I'm glad. I don't risk the injury. I mean, yes, it's cool.
Oh, come on.
It's very cool.
Doesn't wanna
we
put
saw.
more tread on his
I
tires.
watched.
Why even is on the Olympic team? He gets hurt all the time.
I watched him in FIBA, and he was great. And we'll call it that.
Okay.
I enjoy it, and if he feels he got left out, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I saw something interesting about the Olympic team. I think Austin Rivers said that they should just put Cooper Flagg on the team, which is the next, I guess, Wembanyama.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about that?
Number 1 player coming in next year too.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. I'm indifferent to it. I want to see the best guys out there.
Yeah.
I agree.
I want to see the best guys out there. Little props to the Islanders. They
made
coaching
it.
change
Snuck in.
mid-season. Patrick Waugh. They play the Hurricanes. By the way, the Rangers play the Capitals with Ovechkin. So you never know in hockey, man. You
Thanks to Torts.
never, ever know. It's the most fickle sport and also the best playoff sport.
Oh, it's the best.
Non-stop.
By far.
Nonstop. Let's give a little love to the Marist baseball and softball teams. Aidan, a little overview of what's going on the diamond, because as the semester ends, they keep playing.
Sure. Yes, they do, which leaves me with more work to do. But that's okay. Marist baseball, I think MAAC, just in general, is very interesting. There's not one team that has a team ERA lower than 5.5 or something like that. So a lot of runs are scored. Pitching's not at its best here, but there's a few prospects within the MAAC that are actually pretty good. Quinnipiac has Jackson Strong, an outfielder. He's a power hitter. He hits around 350, and he's also one of the leaders in stolen bases, so he's a 5-tool player. And then for Marist specifically, they have Ethan Conrad, who's leading the whole NCAA in triples, which is really cool. I think you did
I did a little piece on him. The man is absolutely nuts. Every game I've seen, everything, he has the power, he has the location, he has the speed, he reads the plate so well. I think he's MLB material, honestly.
Wow. And what about our friends on the softball diamond?
down hidden below at North
Hidden
End.
Valley.
They're playing very well. They lost to Lehigh, who was on a 10-game winning streak, now 12. So they lost 2 in a row there. I think that's the first time they've done that in a while, but it was non-conference. During conference play, they're 8-3, and Maya McDonald is very, very good.
Do they have a shot to repeat as MAAC champions?
Yeah, they definitely have a shot. And to go back to MAAC champions for baseball, Ryder has 1 loss, which was Marist, surprisingly. They're 11-1. But for the MAAC and softball, Marist is at the top, 8-3. Canisius will be a problem because of Megan Geese or Geis. She's a pitcher hitter. She's been very good. Her and Kylie are the 2 best pitchers for a few years now. And Haley R., very good for Marist as well. She has a top 40 batting average in the entire NCAA. I think she's batting like 440 or something around there. And Maya's leading the league in home runs. Their team is a well-oiled machine to this point. They got beat by errors, self-inflicted, against Lehigh, but during conference play, Joe has not been happy with how they came out in the first game of all of their MAAC games so far. They've dropped, I think, the first one in all 3 of their series. But after that, they take care of business and they win the series. But he'd obviously like them to see a sweep or 2 throughout the rest of conference play. They still have Canisius on their schedule, which will be interesting. And then they have Fairfield and they have Iona this weekend. Iona's done pretty well so far, but I think Marist is the clear favorite for softball. And
before we wrap up, a quick hit on the NFL draft. Any thoughts? Giants and Jets. Giants draft 6, Jets draft 10. Do either of them take a quarterback?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Did you see Danny Dimes' wide eyes in that interview he had?
Yeah, it was a Zoom call, though. Give him a break. All right, that wraps up another edition of the student section. Our thanks to Miles Kauderer, number 98 on the Marist football team. We look forward to seeing him at Tenney this coming fall. You have a great whatever it is until we come back the next time, where we will end up on a very, very positive women's sports note. That's all I'm going to tell you. Very special guest in the studio with us, and we'll see you then.